Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, Leos and Lions. It's great to see so many attending from so many different parts of the world. Welcome to the second Leo virtual classroom in our three-part series. This particular classroom focuses on the E in Leo, experience, and the creation of impactful service projects. My name is Leo Ronak Sahani, and I will be your moderator for this session. So, what does service mean, and what difference does it make within all of our communities? Here with us today are three presenters, Leo L. Birkenruth, Leo Rachel Moss, and Leo Lion Shriyani Patel to talk about these questions. Leo L. Birkenruth is a rising senior in high school with a passion for community service and helping others. When she isn't assisting her town through her Leo Club, she can be found playing soccer, running track, or doing her duties as the Secretary of Student Government. She also volunteers at her local library and a local charity known as the Gifts of Love, where she helps families find food, clothing, and other items they may need. So without further ado, here's Leo L's presentation on the impact of service.
Hello, everyone. My name is Elle Birkenruth, and I am a rising senior at Avon High School in Avon, Connecticut. I am so happy that I decided to join the Leo Club my freshman year of high school. Being a Leo has been a prominent part of my high school career. It makes my school experience more fulfilling, and it adds to the excitement of going. Hello, everyone. My name is Elle Birkenruth, and I am a rising senior at Avon High School in Avon, Connecticut. I am so happy that I decided to join the Leo Club my freshman year of high school. Being a Leo has been a prominent part of my high school career. It makes my school experience more fulfilling, and it adds to the excitement of going to school and attending meetings. I have loved gaining more experience volunteering at activities in my high school and expanding my involvement to other opportunities around my area. It has brought me my two best friends, Lauren and Delia, who I do service with every month. I used to be so scared of joining clubs and putting myself out there. However, I am so happy I stepped outside of my comfort zone and decided to attend a Friday morning Leo meeting in 2017. Deciding who to sit next to was the hardest part of my Leo experience, and from then on, it became my favorite high school experience. I have met my best friends who share the same beliefs as me that volunteering is crucial, and everyone else in the Leo Club prioritizes service work. I love choosing to spend my time with people who treat service work as a learning opportunity rather than a chore. Volunteering turned into a passion rather than a community service requirement. I am a Leo because I have always had a passion for helping the community around me. Being a Leo allows me to be an active member of my high school and a service member of my town. I am a Leo because I want to volunteer and serve my community, while also learning life skills that I can take with me through my life. Being a Leo has given me pride within myself that I can make a difference in this world, no matter how small. So why do I volunteer? I volunteer because I want to learn something new. I volunteer because I've learned so much from the people I volunteer with, along with actually doing the volunteer opportunity. For example, 2 days ago, I volunteered at a local farm through a local charity called Gifts of Love in my town. I was harvesting tomatoes and sparked a conversation with the woman next to me. We ended up talking for 40 minutes in the late August sun, and she taught me about history, especially the Vietnam War. I would have never guessed I would be talking to someone about that while also doing a rewarding activity. Volunteering also helps me discover what I like to do. From volunteering at a local charity, Gifts of Love, I have grown to love talking to people and guiding them through the facility to pick up groceries and clothing or anything else they might need. I know I would like a career with communicating with people because I love learning about what people have to say, and through volunteering, I've learned to love talking to people. I have heard so many different people speak their minds through my time volunteering, and I feel like I've become more intelligent since I have brought in my own perspectives by listening to other people's ideas. I also volunteer because I love serving my community and being an outlet of assistance to anyone who needs help. It makes me feel so good about myself, and I love being able to talk and communicate with so many new people who I would have never met without volunteering. So, how common actually is volunteering? Well, 25.3% of Americans volunteer, which is 62.8 million people who volunteer. And more Americans than ever are volunteering, which is a great thing to do during this COVID-19. And there's been an increase of more than 6 percentage points over the previous year of the people who have volunteered. And the largest percent of volunteer activity involves fundraising or selling items to raise money. Collecting, prepping, distributing, or serving food is ranked number 2. And the highest percentage of volunteers worked within religious organizations. And in this most recent survey, Americans who define themselves as Generation X, those born between 1966 and 1980, had the highest volunteer rate of any age group, which was 36.4%. And volunteering among the millennial generation, those born in the 1980s and the 90s, has increased more than 6 percentage points since 2016. And it is so great to see so many young people volunteering. And I love, petitioning to my friends to make them volunteer, and they just fall in love with it because volunteering is so rewarding and it's amazing for your health. So how does service work actually impact your health? Well, when you assist others, your body releases dopamine in the brain, which has a positive effect on how you feel. And volunteers also experience lower levels of depression. And it boosts your self-esteem. Volunteering helps build a strong safety net for when you're experiencing trying times. Without those strong social ties, you're always surrounded by a community that's willing to help you out when times get tough. And you feel a sense of achievement, like you've accomplished something, and you're more willing to take on challenges because you feel like you have people around you who will support you with whatever you need. And you will also live a longer and healthier life. Volunteers encounter greater longevity and less frequency of heart disease. Volunteers may be at lower risk for memory loss too. The social interaction can significantly reduce the progress of Alzheimer's and other types of dementia. And it's just great to see people volunteering because it reduces their stress. If you have a long day of work and you've had a hard day, nothing feels better than serving your community. Nothing can make you feel as good as volunteering, and people forget about the problems in their life and they're focused on the task at hand. And it also provides motivation and purpose. As people get older, they experience a higher risk of isolation. And volunteering combats that statistic by adding a sense of purpose to your life. And lastly, you have fun. You meet so many new people volunteering, and you want to participate more in your community. It's a win-win situation. And now for the importance of youth volunteering. For the youth, they can develop new skills. Children and young adults who volunteer regularly practices skills like collaboration, problem solving, and leadership that are vital to success in academics, the workplace, and their personal lives. And it also increases their academic success. 82% of students who participated in service learning opportunities reported increased positive feelings about attending school. And youth volunteering also helps children practice empathy. Participating in volunteer activities from an early age can help foster empathy and inclusivity, qualities necessary for building safe and unified environments. And it also creates volunteers for life. Children and teens who volunteer are more likely to become civically engaged adults in the future. And now the importance of volunteers to the country. Volunteers support families through daycare and elder care. They improve schools by tutoring and teaching literacy. They support youth in mentoring and after-school programs. They beautify local areas through beach and park cleanups. They build homes for the homeless, provide meals for the hungry, fundraise for nonprofit museums, libraries, and the arts. They help with environmental conservation efforts, and they care for abandoned animals. I wanted to give a big list because I didn't want to leave anything out and, disregard all the hard work that people put into their community and all the good work that happens to our country. And volunteerism eventually saves resources, especially where social programs and affordable services are limited. Volunteering helps to fill these gaps in critical services. Every hour that we give to our community through volunteerism is an hour that the community gains back in real hours. It's a cycle. What you give is what you get back. Those dollars can then be spent in other ways that serve and better the community. And specifically, how has service impacted my community? And I wanted to take a specific answer from my volunteer department in my local town, because I wanted to appreciate the men and women who risk their lives to help my town and my community be safe. So my volunteer department is the Avon Volunteer Fire Department. And some of my friends volunteer with the fire department, and they have taught me so much about the firefighters and the fire department as a whole. And it's such an amazing organization, and the firefighters risk their lives for the good of the people in our town. They put their lives on the line anytime a member of the town calls. The fire department is proud to be there for the citizens and trying to respond to their needs to provide a better outcome for the civilians. And I wanted to pick a specific person I found named Ron Roy, who is the division chief for the Douglas County Fire District Number 2 in East Wenatchee in Washington. And he is a volunteer fireman and has spoken on his experiences risking his life for his local community. And I picked this specific man because he truly shows the true humble characteristics of what a volunteer should have. And he has an amazing quote that says, "I can't change the weather when it is raining or snowing, but I can choose to help someone who can use an extra hand." This quote proves he is a true serviceman with the same values as a Leo, because he will always put service work first. He says, "I have served the residents where I live since 1973 as a volunteer firefighter. Even if I could, I would have it no other way." He risks his life because it is so rewarding. And Leos volunteer because they have a passion for helping others. And no matter the extent of one's service work, every volunteer opportunity changes the world. And this man and any member of the Leo Club and any volunteer out there, we all share the same qualities. We all want what's best for our community, our state, our country, and the world. We're all in it for the right reasons, and we should all be unified by the idea that we are all humbled by the same values of wanting to help each other. And now to my favorite Leo experiences that I've done throughout my high school career and throughout my whole life. So the first one is Avon Day. Avon Day is our local fair, which instills pride in our community. I have helped serve food and set up for the fair, which is so fun to help my community and help bring pride and joy and just see all the smiling faces on children's faces and parents who bring their children. It's so fun to not only participate in the fair, but help set it up and help clean up and feel like I matter in my community. And I also 2 years ago ran a Halloween booth at a local farm that I've been doing throughout my high school career. And Halloween is my favorite holiday. I love dressing up and I love serving my local farm by helping out children with face paint. It helps me practice my art skills, and it's something I'm really interested in. I love helping children, and I love talking with people and sitting there and just communicating with them, which is very fun for me. And then I did Christmas gifts. Basically, it was kind of where me and a couple friends, we donate Christmas gifts to people in need, and we come up with a budget, and we all take a trip to Walmart together, and we purchase goods and give them to people in need. And it makes us feel so good because we are doing something good on this holiday about receiving. We are all about giving, which is very good for my Leo Club because it helps us develop ties with other people in my community, and it makes us feel good and boosts the self-esteem of the club in general. And lastly, I bake for various locations. I've developed a passion for baking through my time at the Leo Club. It's been so fun for me to just learn how to make cool cupcakes and brownies and cakes, all for places like my nature center, food pantries. It's been such a fun experience baking for my local town and just putting a smile on people's faces when I show up with baked goods. And lastly, how do you reach more volunteers? Since I've talked about my experiences and how much fun I've had, if you would like to start helping people volunteer and try and get more volunteer to volunteer with your friends, this is how you do it. So you want to show prospective volunteers that they matter. One of the most common hurdles to engagement is time. People don't have a lot of time, and so they want to know why their time should be spent at your organization and that their time will be used in a meaningful way. You would like to make sure that they know that they should spend time at your organization. And then you should show that volunteerism is contagious. I want to volunteer when I see my friends doing something very interesting for their community. And the organizations are more likely to engage volunteers when they understand what inspires them and they see other people doing it around them. And you also should use your connections to ask many people. And many people don't volunteer simply because they were never asked. You have to use different methods of communication to ask once and then ask again. It never hurts to ask people. And those are my sources. Thank you for listening, and I hope you spend more time volunteering and joining your local LEO members to create more exciting opportunities for your town and your community service.
Thank you, Leo L, for that wonderful presentation. We'll now be taking some questions you may have. Please feel free to leave them in the Q&A tab below. So, first question here. What are the challenges faced during volunteering in this current pandemic, Leo L?
Obviously, the current challenges are not being able to volunteer with others directly. Sometimes we face the barriers of not having enough technology to help people access different volunteering opportunities. We can't just have a big group and volunteer all together now. We have to figure out other solutions and social distancing ways to volunteer, and it especially hurts food shares and food banks and soup kitchens where you're directly making the food, and all this direct contact obviously hurts. But I think as time has gone on, everyone has been more successful at getting more tech savvy and getting more ways of protecting themselves and how to wear masks and wear goggles and hazmat suits and how to volunteer safely. And I think that is something that us as Leos and Lions should be dedicated to do and continue progressing with, is learning how to be safer and help our communities in a very safe way.
Mm-hmm. So are you considering becoming a Leo Lion in the future?
I am considering becoming a Leo Lion. I am deciding to choose a college majorly based on how good the students want to volunteer in their service work. And I would love to be around students who have the same values as us Leos and Lions, and I will be dedicating a portion of my life to volunteering because it makes my life richer, and I think it makes the people's lives around me richer. And so I would love to continue with the process. I've been going at it for 4 years, and I would love to continue with that.
So what are the service activities your clubs are doing? Do you have any ideas to bring Leos together in the times of COVID-19?
Yes, so I am the Secretary of Student Government, and my school is currently doing a lot of virtual events, such as virtual chess tournaments to raise money. And I think we are planning a Leo Club activity. We did this during the summer, which was you collected rocks and you would place them around town with nice messages on them, just to keep our whole community positive and encouraging everyone during these hard times. And I think anything we can do to encourage our community in a socially distanced way, I will definitely bring up at the next virtual Leo meeting and create more opportunities to motivate and help our town.
Great. So what drew you to volunteer through the Leo Club in the first place?
Well, I heard about it from people who were older than me. They said it was such a great club and it was so inviting. And I really wanted to make more friends when I started high school. And it just felt like such a safe community for me to join and be a part of. So I joined and I just fell in love with volunteering and helping other people and meeting so many new people through the Leo Club, and it led me to other volunteer opportunities. And I'm so excited to see where the Leo Club leads me in the future to more service work and more people. Like I've met so many people through this as well, which is so nice.
Thank you, Leo L, for your insightful presentation and answering all these questions.
Thank you.
Next, we're going to move on to Leo Rachel, who's a 17-year-old from Newfoundland, Canada. She's been a member of the Goals Leo Club since 2016. She's the incoming treasurer for this year and is looking forward to taking on the new role. Rachel is an avid volunteer with both Lions and Leos, as well as with their town's recreation department, inter-school community, and with the Janeway Children's Hospital. She's accomplished in public speaking both in English and in French, and is thrilled to be presenting to her fellow Leos on creating impactful service projects. Take it away, Leo Rachel.
Thank you, Leo Ronick, for that lovely introduction. So my name is Rachel Moss, and I'm 17 years old from St. Philip's, Newfoundland and Labrador, all the way over on the east coast of Canada. My home community doesn't actually have its own Leo Club, and with an aging population in our Lions Club, we've been struggling to get a Leo Club off the ground here in St. Philip's. So for the time being, I'm a member of the nearest Leo Club to where I live, which is in the Goulds, just outside the city, the capital city of St. John's. So just a little bit about me. I've been an active member of the Goulds Leo Club for 4 years, and I'm the incoming treasurer for the 2020-2021 fiscal year. I've been volunteering with my local Lions Club ever since I was pushed in a baby stroller in the annual Christmas parade, and I continue to volunteer with Lions events here in my home community. I'm also involved in many clubs within my school, and I'm an alumni of Forum for Young Canadians, Encounters with Canada, and World Learning's Youth Ambassadors program, in all of which I took particular focus on politics, democracy, and Canadian law. In our Leo Club in the Goulds, we have a meeting every month and run a project every 2 months or so. While our club is naturally focused on community service and engagement, we try and mix those with team building activities so that when it's time to get down to business, we know that we can work well together. So this is seen in projects such as our Weekathon a few years ago. We were each sponsored by friends and family, and we spent the night in the Lions Club playing games and doing team building exercises. This way, we were able to donate money to the local elementary school's breakfast program, and we each got to know one another better. So I was a little surprised when I was asked to speak today. I don't often sit back and think about what service means to me or how it has a personal impact on my own life. As I said, I've been with Lions since I was in a baby stroller. So giving up a few hours to call bingo at the local hostel or flipping pancakes at a breakfast fundraiser has always just sort of been second nature to me. The Leo program, though, fosters this same sort of idea with all young people. So even if your mom didn't bundle you up and cart you along in the parade as a toddler, right from the age of 11 or 12, you can begin to immerse yourself in service as a sort of lifestyle. So what does all of this mean to me? To be honest, as a 12-year-old brand new Leo, it didn't really mean much other than one meeting a month and a few service projects in between, plus this super awesome convention that we all got to go to in the spring. Now, though, as I'm entering my last year as a Leo and reflecting back on my experience, I'm realizing that it's meant so much more. The friendships I've made through my club and the knowledge I've gained, everything from how to take coherent notes in a meeting to building international service projects and having a good work ethic, have proven invaluable. Looking forward, these skills can be applied to future careers, to education, and of course, to Lionism. Plus, in beginning the process of applying to university, I've noticed that being a Leo looks really great on a resume. Dr. Andrew Fury, Premier of Newfoundland and Labrador and founder of Team Broken Earth, once told me that he often feels guilty in the line of work of serving the community. Often, he said, you seem to get more than you give in terms of personal fulfillment, pride in your work, and a strong sense of accomplishment. So considering the personal gain that comes from being a Leo, let's take a look at how the community of the Goulds has benefited from the service of our club. Since its charter in 2004, the Goulds Leo Club has been consistently giving to the community in all sorts of ways. We run smaller projects in between, such as baking at the Ronald McDonald House, caroling at a senior's home, and collecting non-perishable food items in the Santa Claus Parade. But our biggest projects always involve fundraising. We've run several pancake breakfasts for families in our community, often around holidays such as Halloween and Easter. For a small donation at the door, families are served pancakes made by Lions and Leos and take part in themed events such as coloring contests and Easter egg hunts. These programs are naturally a lot of work to organize and run, but are often very successful. During the town's established annual Winter Carnival, our club always runs a movie night for kids. These don't cost as much to run, so depending on the year, we sometimes ask for non-perishable food items for the food bank as admission. Whatever funds we do raise obviously then go right back into our local community in a broad number of ways, everything from purchasing service dogs to donating to the Burn Fund. Giving to our local community is, of course, our main focus as Leos. While fundraising plays an important role in our success as a club, not every project needs to be based on raising money. Consider our caroling project in the seniors' home or our Winter Carnival movie nights. In partnership with our local schools, churches, and other organizations, we run eyeglass recycling drives in support of Lions Recycle for Sight. Sometimes we do things even just for fun. We have potlucks and holiday parties that just keep that social element alive in our club. So even those little projects in between fundraisers allow us to give so much to our communities. Even if, to someone in a position of privilege, a community does not appear on the surface to be in need, there is always a way to help. There's always somewhere that Leos can contribute, and that's why our members are encouraged to keep an eye out for local people and organizations in need. And we often begin our meetings by asking Leos to bring our ideas forward. In my experience as a Leo, it's absolutely crucial that meeting environments are Leo-driven and made so that members feel comfortable expressing their ideas and taking their seat at the table. In my past 4 years in the club, we've had a very wide range of membership. The most productive and successful groups of people and meetings have been when a space has been created in which Leos feel heard, confident, and above all, comfortable with one another. This sort of environment is achieved in a pretty broad variety of ways, so everything from setting up our meeting tables in a circle rather than in rows to buying Leo hoodies instead of vests, so we felt a little more casual and dressed down in our meetings. These spaces are most noticeably created following events such as our annual convention. After spending a weekend eating together, rooming together, and sharing this equal desperation to beat all of the other clubs in the annual scavenger hunt, we always feel much more comfortable speaking up in meetings. It's perfectly natural for young Leos especially to feel shy and to stay silent. I'm sure we've all been there. And that's why I feel it's the duty of older Leos to put in the work to establish and maintain that comfortable atmosphere. For us, that may look like banding together to win the scavenger hunt at convention and wearing matching hoodies to our meetings. But for you, it could be as simple as taking initiative to introduce yourself to a new Leo. When I was 12 and that scared brand new member, I thought I was the coolest kid in the entire world because another Leo who was in 11th grade at the time sat next to me at a meeting and said that she liked my hairband. This boosted my confidence enough to speak up in that day's meeting, when otherwise I probably would have ended up silent in the back. So even those little things can make such a huge impact. So to the Leos with us today, be sure to take the time to actually do them. Meetings have also been most successful when they've been Leo-driven. When our Leo advisors have sat in the back and let us take charge of our own projects, members have been much more prone to contribute. Of course, Leo clubs wouldn't exist without guidance from our advisors, But in my experience, that comfortable meeting environment and empowerment for younger members has come from meetings in which it was the Leos who took charge. To all the Lions with us today, don't be afraid to have a little faith in what we can achieve on our own. As tempting as it is to hold our hands along the way, we often learn best by being given some independence and working with our peers. Our advisor in the Goulds is always reminding us, this is your club, and encouraging us to take charge. So even that little reminder at the beginning of a meeting can make such a big difference. So how does creating this environment impact your service capacities as a club? When we feel comfortable expressing our ideas, we can serve our community much more effectively. To quote my friend's student council campaign speech, even the quietest kid can have the best ideas. Everyone not only deserves to be heard, but has something wonderful and unique to contribute. If you're sitting in a Leo Club meeting, it's clearly for a good reason. Plus, as I said, when it's time to get down to business, we can always trust in our ability to work well together. By taking 10 minutes at the beginning of our meetings to have a game of hide and seek in the Lions Club, or even just going around the table and asking how everyone's day has been going, we can work very well as a team. And when you approach a project as a team rather than as a group of individuals, the difference you can make is astounding. As we all know, community service is the backbone of Leo clubs. Looking at community from a global perspective, though, is often a challenge for Leos. We tend to focus our efforts on a more local scale and run smaller projects within our municipalities just because it's the easiest and the most practical. While this kind of service is incredibly important and should certainly remain a key aspect of our mandate, it's my belief that Leos should not hesitate to take on an international focus. For us in the Goulds, that began in 2015, when we were the first club, Leo or Lion, to donate to our Lions International Service Project, bringing recycled eyeglasses and running a vision clinic in Haiti in partnership with Team Broken Earth, a nonprofit group of doctors and nurses with a focus on providing healthcare and education to the people of Haiti, Nicaragua, and Bangladesh, especially in the wake of natural disasters. Several missions, a few eyeglass recycling drives, and lots of donations later, we came to discover that the Leo Club in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, had been providing our Lions on the ground with essential and tireless volunteers in their vision clinic. Their club, while in desperate need of funds to serve their impoverished community, has no way of fundraising. To be perfectly honest, when I heard this, my heart broke a little bit. This group of teenagers halfway across the world wants to do exactly what we're doing, are eager to serve, but have to work 10 times harder than we do just to raise a little money. And so, of course, being raised in a family of Lions and having spent my formative years as a Leo, my first thought was, what can we do to help? Helping turned out to be much simpler than I had anticipated. We took our existing fundraising ideas and programs and converted them into what has since been named Leos for Leos projects. The idea is not to sponsor, but to fundraise on behalf of our Leo brothers and sisters, to do for those kids halfway across the world what they can't do for themselves. We have so much in common, so why shouldn't we lend a helping hand where we can? Isn't it our duty to do our part to assure that we all have equal access to leadership, experience, and opportunity? As Leos, we should come together on more of a global scale to support one another and encourage a more equitable distribution of funds across our organization. It often seems that Leo clubs situated in the communities most in need have the least amount of funds to serve those communities. So even if that means the Goulds manages to send just $500 to the Port-au-Prince Leo Club, we've begun to bridge that international gap and not only form relationships, but create empathy for one another on an international scale. I do not believe that Lions should be the only ones with international service projects. And I do not believe that as young people, we are incapable of creating global change. We mustn't limit ourselves by applying a single definition to the term community. Even if we can't send Leos to Port-au-Prince in person, we can still strive to see our community as not a small town from outside the city, but as this huge global network of youth with a shared passion for service and so much we can do to help one another. I encourage every one of you to bring this idea back to your Leo clubs, to think bigger, but to start small. The Ghouls raised $500 for Port-au-Prince. Think about what we Leos can achieve if we all take this global mindset. To start with $500, but dream bigger, and to begin to fundraise where we can. Leos for Leos. So what are the main takeaways from this presentation? You've heard my story, how I got started in community service as an involuntary toddler, and how being a Leo has shaped who I'm becoming as a person. Think about your story. Take this opportunity, like I did, to explore the role of service in your life and how being a Lion or a Leo has impacted you. Ironically, the takeaway of giving is tremendous. The experiences and knowledge, as well as the personal fulfillment we gain, is invaluable. Take this opportunity to appreciate what you've done for your club and what your club has done for you. We looked at service on a local level and the importance of giving to your community on as small a scale as a food drive around the holidays, and how not every project needs to be financially based, which I know sounds weird coming from the club treasurer. We saw some examples of my club in the Goulds and how we've impacted both our community and one another in a variety of positive ways. And we looked at how to maximize that output of service by working together, creating friendships, and promoting a healthy and safe meeting environment. I truly believe that Leo clubs are at their best when every voice is heard. And so I urge you to bring this practice back to your clubs. If you're an older Leo, reach out to new members with encouragement. If you're a Lion or an advisor, don't hesitate to let us kids take charge and drive our own meetings. No matter what your involvement is with Leos, you can put in the effort and make those small changes that can make a world of difference to your club's service capacity. Be sure that everyone has their thoughts and ideas heard and feels comfortable speaking up in meetings. And so again, I'll put this back on you. Consider how your individual club can adapt to foster an encouraging atmosphere. Because I know we all have those younger members who stay silent in the back of the room. What can you do, both personally and as a group, to encourage those people to feel empowered to come out of their shells? And last, we looked at redefining the term community as young people, at coming together on a global scale to help one another. Here, I want to encourage you to take on this new perspective with your club. Even if it's starting as we did 5 years ago with a donation to the Lions International Service Project. Once we begin, as Mary Poppins says, there's nowhere to go but up. Don't hesitate to reach a helping hand outside of your town and across international borders. The future of Leos is prosperous if we can come together and support one another as a global community. We Leos must have the courage to dream bigger in our service. It is our duty to promote equitability in our own communities, with one another, and as an international organization. I implore you, consider what you've learned over the course of this virtual classroom. Take it and actually put it into practice. As Leos, we already have the tools and the motivation to create change. So there's no limit to what we can achieve. And please, if you have any further questions or would like to get involved with our Leos for Leos project, reach out to me by email or by social media. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you, Leah Rachel, for that wonderful presentation. Once again, we'll be taking questions, so please feel free to leave it in the Q&A tab below. So first question here. How are you communicating about Leo clubs to youth in your community during this pandemic?
Hello. So during the pandemic, we faced a lot of challenges as a Leo club because obviously a lot of things have been shut down, haven't been able to meet in person. But we've done some outreach, obviously, and so we've encouraged our members to attend like the USA Canada Leadership Forum events, like this virtual classroom. That's been great for our members. And we've encouraged just one another to reach out to our friends. So being somebody from a club that's not actually where I live, I'm able to reach out to people from my school and that whole other network of people that way. So we're fortunate enough here in Newfoundland that things are looking like they're going to open back up again soon. So we're hoping to meet again in person come the fall. But like I said, we really use our schools and our home communities for outreach for membership.
So here's a question from Lion Shreyash Poto, but if members are a bit shy, what can a president do or a treasurer to bring the best out in their members?
So for us in the Goulds, I outlined a couple of ways that we're able to do that. So we bought hoodies instead of vests. We feel more casual in our meetings. We definitely incorporate those social elements, the team building exercises. So, you know, if it's all about what works for your individual club. So for us, those team building exercises work really, really well. And our annual conventions work really well, but it's just kind of a trial and error kind of thing of what will work and what won't work. And for Lions and advisors as well, it's kind of on you to try and help and foster that environment. So for us, that looked like Lions taking a seat in the back and allowing Leos to drive meetings. But again, for you, that could look different. So just try out what will work for you. And as I mentioned, think bigger, but start small. So even if with something like this, you can start on a really, really small scale, just by going around the table and seeing how everyone's day has been going. That makes a really big difference.
So here's a question. What would be your advice to any Leo clubs who wish to make a global impact, such as your Leo clubs have?
So we started very small 5 years ago. I'm not sure what the amount was, but it was a fairly small donation to our local Lions International Service project. And that's really what got the ball rolling for us. That allowed us to open communication with the Lions that were actually on the ground and working with the Leos in person. So I definitely recommend to Leos to reach out to your Lions Club to figure out what they're doing already for their international service projects and how you can build upon that and use your voice as young people using existing programs in partnership with Lions especially.
So Leo Rachel, does your Leo club or sponsoring Lions Club have a plan for Leos who age out?
A lot of Leos in our club just go right into our Lions clubs. I'm not sure of any specific details around that other than we just go right into our Lions clubs for sure. But I can definitely look that up and get back to maybe the chat or perhaps Lion Elkins who can get that information back out to everyone.
Great. So last question here. What do you think Leos and Lions can do to attract new members, especially during this time?
So during this time, it's been a really great challenge, for sure. But we use our schools mostly for attracting members. And so we've formed partnerships with social justice clubs, student councils, that sort of thing, who then have outreach to members. And during this time, as I said, it's been a bit of a challenge, and we've used platforms such as the USA Canada Leo Leadership Forum and such as the virtual classroom that have been really helpful just for promoting that online and on social media kind of transition.
Great. Thank you, Leo Rachel, for your eloquent presentation.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Great. So next, our final presenter today is Leo Lion Triani, who graduated last year with cum laude honors from the University of California, Riverside. She grew up surrounded by service and lions, starting as a cub of Karamsad Lions in India, and then later went on to become a charter member of the Lemoore Lions in the United States. Currently, Shriani serves as a club treasurer for home club, West Coast Indian Cyber Lions Club, located in District 482, multiple District 4 California. She wants to help develop youth membership in Lions clubs and hopes to get more involved in the near future. So here's her presentation on what service means and the Leo experience.
Hello, good evening, and even good morning to all the Lions and the Leos, and even so any prospective members who are listening to this webinar. It is my honor to be part of this panel and share with you all my experience as a Leo and now as a Leo Lion. And again, thank you for the introduction. So my name is Leo Lion Shriyani Patel, and I am based in District 482 from the beautiful Golden State of California, right here in the Central Valley, it's the land of agriculture right in the middle. So thank you again, let's get started. So how I got involved with Leos was practically I was raised in the Lions family. My parents are both very active Lions member themselves, and my dad was actually a Leo, and he transitioned to a Lion and now a life member of this organization. And they also got married through Lions, so it's a very Lions family. And you know, everything that I am today and all my foundationally as a person, I owe it to a lot of my experiences as volunteering since I was a kid, and now I'm here. And before I get started with my PowerPoint, I want to share a quote. So since today we're talking on experience, I wanted to share one of my favorite quotes, and I think it's very fitting with this topic. I have learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And this is by Maya Angelou. And people feel when they experience something, and that experience as Lions and Leos we give is through volunteering and serving together. So what does volunteering mean to me? In this picture right here, I just pulled it right off of our website, our LCI website, which is amazing. It has so many different resources and just being connected and so many tools that we could utilize. So definitely check that out. But going back, what does volunteering mean to me exactly? I see it as this: people helping people, and through their service, empowering others. I personally don't like to use or say charity or helping the needy, because in a way it leaves a negative connotation, and sometimes as humans it could bruise our self-image. So what I like to say is empowering, because we give them our time, tools and resources and money in many cases, so they can tackle and get out of that situation and tackle that need at that time. So when you say empower, and when you empower someone else, it's a chain reaction, and you just fuel that. And like we all have heard, time is a limited and very expensive resource. So how we choose to spend it really kind of defines who we are as a person. And that's the beauty of being a member of this wonderful organization, is that we choose to volunteer and give back to our community. So the next part, I want to speak about that experience, the Leo experience. These are just some of the skills that I feel, or some of the things that I feel that have been the most important that I've picked up throughout my experience. And it's not going to be the same for each individual. It's going to be different. And there are other things that have come with, being a member of this organization. So I would say the first thing is learning important life skills. When you talk about life skills, it's the critical thinking. It's the working with a team. It is the communication. It's the leadership, the ability to problem solve, and also the ability to effectively motivate others. And these skills sometimes aren't as present or prevalent in a classroom. And this is where organizations like this, and especially for the youth, it comes into play. And these are skills that are transferable, again, to your academics and to your professional career. Now, I'm a young professional moving on to my career. And as I have progressed from high school, from my school to college to my career, I really see these skills that I improved and worked on as a volunteer really come into play. For me, I want to pursue a career in nonprofit administration. And so a lot of these skills do come into play. But regardless, I believe that it doesn't matter if you're going to nonprofit or corporate or you're an entrepreneur. These are all very important skills. And as we all know, we're service-based. So a lot of the service projects have to be planned. And they don't just get planned in a snap of a finger, right? There are a lot of behind the scenes. There's a vision, a mission that you have in that project. You have to assign roles. You have to delegate tasks. You have to come up with the timing and all the planning and the logistics that go behind. So these are really critical skills that we, and especially if we are younger, comes into role as we progress into our lives. So definitely this has been one of the biggest things that I have experienced through this Leo, and now as a Lion and a volunteer. Second, I'm going to say is mentorship and global community. So I really emphasized on the last part, unity. So talking about mentorship, when I was in college, I had to move away from my home, and I lived about 7 hours away from my house. So when I got to the area where I was going to school, there were Lions present, and one of the Lions member is, really close friends with my parents. And through that friendship, they also kind of adopted me into their family and made sure that while I was in college, that I was looked for, and they became my second family. And so that is definitely one of the things. And when you say where there's a need, there's a Lion, and that's absolutely true. And then the second part is a global community. So wherever we go, Lions is present in 219 countries. So it really is a global community. And so as Lions and Leos, we need to really make sure, we're united together. And despite of our differences or generation gap or ideas, we come together and we unite. And just going briefly back to mentorship, there are Lions and members who come from everywhere and every walks of life. So even the youth have those opportunities to look up to those folks and get to know them, and vice versa. And as we look into, again, to improve our youth membership, we have to form this community and this unity of Leos and Lions. And then the last part I wanted to talk about was providing a flexibility and accessibility. So as I mentioned, I went from a Cub to a Leo to a campus lion to now a young professional as a Leo Lion. And one of the ways that really helped me maintain my membership was not because my parents are super involved in Lions and, because they are involved, I had to be involved. It was because of, again, the flexibility that LCI is, they're really providing is the club formats. When we talk about new clubs, we talk about the club format. So whatever the need is, it could be a specialty club, it could be a virtual club, it could be a campus club, it could be an Alpha Omega Leo club. So that really helped me maintain my interest and continue, and we're all connected by this one thread of service. So that really helped me. And then lastly, I want to talk about empathy and exposure. As we all know, we're going through a global pandemic, and it has really become crucial that we are there for each other, and we understand that despite each other's differences, we can work together and come together. And that is what volunteering provides, is it gives you that ability to understand. And also the exposure. And that's one of the biggest beauties of being a global service organization, is the exposure that we get through our membership all across the US. And so it's really important that we take these skills or these benefits and translate it to help our youth and empower them to get involved. So I talked a lot about my experience, so I just wanted to really showcase that. And these are just some of the ways that I've been involved in giving back. And some of these projects are very unique to California. And if you're a California Lion, definitely, utilize these projects. One of them being our Rose Parade. So every year we have an international float, and as volunteers, we have the opportunity to travel to Pasadena and help with creating our float. So this way, youth can get involved and show their creativity. It also is a team effort and teaches them patience, because with every petal, every flower petal, every little detail that you're putting on the float, it helps you practice that patience. Then on the bottom, I got involved with diabetes camp that's held by one that is, led by wonderful Lions in Southern California, and essentially bring in young kids who are experiencing diabetes and teach them ways and empower them to maintain teach them healthy management of their diet, because we don't want them to feel that their disease defines them. And I know, because diabetes really hits home for me, as many of my family members have dealt with it. In the middle is Blue Angels. So if you're familiar with that, the U.S. Navy has a demonstration squad of fighter jets, and they do really cool tricks. And I come from a military town, so Blue Angels, they had a show here, and we got to volunteer there. And essentially, we help with the souvenir sales, and we get a percentage of that. So that's as a fundraising effort. And because of the skills that I've picked up throughout, I was able to help and manage the stall. And we were commissioning about $30,000 in one day. And so that was a really cool experience we got to do. And going forward, as we have the COVID-19 situation currently, a lot of the food banks, and I've noticed so many people around the world have shown such great acts of kindness. And it's really amazing to see how we all come together in a pandemic. And then lastly, this is one project that I absolutely love and is very unique to California, is we have a student speaker contest. And each year there's a topic, and high school students get to participate in it. And as they progress on every level, they earn scholarship money. And if you start out as ninth grade, and if you didn't win all the way, you could still come back and apply. And it is, and we have a foundation that was started by Amazing Lions. And this is a great way to get involved. And because it was virtual this year, I was able to help with facilitating that. So these are just some of the unique projects that have that I've been able to be part of, and I'm sure it could be replicated. And I know we have so many amazing projects that I've come across. There's Leos hosting virtual concerts and raising money. There are Leos helping their seniors in how to use the technology. So Leos are really innovative, and then matching that with the wisdom and knowledge of Lions, we could really create a great impact and great partnership. And as we look forward to the next journey of service, again, youth will be very pivotal in how we move forward. And I guess as Leo Ojas had mentioned in the last Power presentation on the series, that we have to achieve equal partnership in service, accolades, and accountability. And that's the way we can move forward and really help our organization grow and continue to make that impact. And lastly, we're getting towards the end, so thank you for listening so far. I started my presentation with a quote. I'm also going to end with a quote. And if you haven't figured out, I love quotes. It just really puts things into perspective. There's a misconception always that I have to do big things to make big impact. However, that's not true. So this quote really resonates. Everyone has different capacities and different limitations. So here's a quote to represent that. If you can't do great things, then you can do small things in a great way. So that is by Napoleon Hill. And ultimately, it will be these seeds that we're planting and the work that we're doing collectively that will make an overall impact. And that's the capacity that we have as humans. And so, thank you again so much for listening to my presentation and my experience. And hopefully it was insightful and you learned a lot throughout the process. And if anyone has a question, I can answer them later. And I also put my contact information. So my email, it's just my first and last name, ShreyaniPatel12@gmail.com. And so please continue being safe and staying healthy and be kind. And like our international president currently, Dr. Jungkook Choi, has said, let's be united in kindness and diversity. All righty. Well, thank you so much, and have a good one.
Thank you, Leola and Shreyani, for our third and final presentation. That was very insightful. Once again, we'll be taking any questions any of you may have, so please leave them in the Q&A tab below. So here's a question we have. How has growing up with service and in the world of Lions helped you in life?
Yeah, thank you so much for the question. And thank you everyone for joining. I mean, as you heard all the previous Leos, I'm really truly inspired by them as well. And I know our limits are limitless and to the sky. So you asked about growing up in the Lions family. So like I mentioned in my presentation as well, it has really helped me as setting a foundation of the person that I want to become. And especially joining and growing up in the Lions community, I saw people selflessly giving back their services and their time and making the impact not just in their local communities, but also nationally and globally. So it's really great to be part of something that's bigger than yourself. And I also like to say that equally there is an impact in not only giving, but also being on the receiving end. So it's definitely been a very impactful and enriching experience. And for youth, as we move on to the next journey, there are a lot of opportunities that that are present as we take on the next journey of service. And I definitely encourage everyone, and especially Lions, to maintain that partnership and bring in your Leos and bring them to those spaces and give them the seat at the table as so they can also continue to make that impact.
So a question that we had was to build that relationship, to get a seat at the table. Do you have any advice for Leos who are trying to convince their parent clubs to help organize Leo Club events?
Yeah, so I would definitely say don't be afraid. I know sometimes we're afraid to just ask, and I guess in Lions, we always mention ask one, just ask. So I would definitely start with that. And we have Leo advisors, we have other members who are part of it. So we can definitely go to our Leo advisors, and also we have district leaders. And if you also have a Lion ally, I think that's a really great way to foster that relationship. I know through my journey, I've had amazing Lions who have been willing to listen and have really accepted that, these ideas are coming from the youth. So the more that we show them and the more that we're present, it will really help foster that relationship. So definitely finding that Lion ally or going to your advisor, and don't be afraid to speak up and just ask.
Great advice. So another question, what compels you to be a Lion?
Oh, that is definitely, I guess, a great question. And in a way, it's kind of like the why, your purpose. So I would definitely say it's that passion to give back. I have seen it through my family, through my parents, but I've also seen it being part of this organization, seeing Leos and Lions give back, and that's what really motivates me and inspires me to continue be a Lion. And I know that we can make an impact not just locally, but we're also serving on a global scale. And then being able to see that so many Lions come together. So I've attended a few of the conventions, and I've seen how we get to meet with each other and interact and be connected and share ideas despite some of the language barriers or despite the differences in our culture. So this is also another way that has really inspired me to continue to be a Lion.
Thank you, Leo Lion Triani. That was our last question. So thank you. And with that, we thank everyone for attending the second Leo Virtual Classroom on Experience. I'd like to take a moment once again to thank our three presenters, Leo L. Birkenruth, Leo Rachel Moss, and Leo Lion Triani, along with our tech team responsible for organizing and answering some of your questions. Thank you everyone for making this a great classroom. Our third classroom will be on September 28th, and it will be focusing on the O in Leo, opportunity. I hope to see all of you there. That's it for me. Thank you and have a great night.